Well, I'm Ralph Savelsberg. This is the military display, or the military aircraft display, because there are lots more other displays out there, obviously, with military stuff. And, well, we're a bunch of guys, we know by the internet, and we build aircraft. Many of them are fictional, sort of near-future stuff, but we have a couple of old-timers as well. And they're all basically scale models with a lot of details and working features. And most of us have been coming to BrickFair for a couple of years now. So this is the sort of place where we get together.
Yeah, that's cool.
Collection of military builders, right? There's a lot of military presence here.
Exactly, yeah. Which is, I mean, I'm from Europe, and that's very different here than in well, the Netherlands or the UK, where I'm usually the military builder.
You're the one military builder.
I am, yeah, I'm the one guy.
So what do you have here? These are your builds then?
Only this one. Okay. Let me pick it up.
Sure.
This is my Wildcat, which is a World War II fighter, U.S. Navy fighter, and you know, I traveled, so I have a large suitcase, but also have a lot of laundry, so it had to be fairly compact. And World War II aircraft used to be a lot smaller than modern day fighters, so I could use a larger scale and could still fit it in my luggage. So yeah, this is it. It has folding wings, which, of course, you know, now that I'm being interviewed and want to demonstrate this, are going to break off.
Obviously not going to work.
No. Oh, well, actually, oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, happy with that.
Wow. That's a great mechanism.
And the landing gear can fold, and the cockpit can open. You know, I like building working features, as do all of these guys. You know, you'll see retracting undercarriage, opening canopies, that sort of thing.
And so when you're transporting a creation like this across the Atlantic for BrickFair, what's your biggest concern for transit? Just general breakage, or?
I take it apart. Well, not completely, obviously. I take the wings off and the propeller off and the fragile bits off, and I wrap those in bubble wrap, and then, you know, tuck it between my clothes. The things that I'm mostly worried about is the airline losing my luggage.
Oh, that's a biggie, right? Yeah, okay, I was thinking that.
I mean, if I've done this before, things are usually okay. I've never lost anything, but that's my worry. I mean, United going, oh, we're sorry, sir.
We don't know what happened to it. You can
yeah,
replace your clothes.
yeah, indeed,
well,
yeah.
just clothes in
yeah,
there.
here's a food voucher, you know, sort yourself out. So that's my worry.
That's your worry. That's a good worry. That's a very logical worry.
Okay.
Awesome.
Very cool, yeah. Nice talking with you. So then we'll move down here to some of the other builders that worked on the builds here. If you would want to give us your name.
Hi, I'm Matt Hacker. I build mostly minifig scale near future ground and air vehicles. The one nearest to me is, I call it the AH-5 Kestrel. It's kind of a futuristic attack helicopter, but not too different from, say, the Sikorsky X-92 Raider, which is currently in development. When I went out to design a helicopter, I knew I wanted to have a bunch of features, and what I worked on was integrating this coaxially rotating mechanism in the build. So I have it hooked up to the pusher prop and everything like that. And it was a fun build to just try to integrate everything properly. And I don't usually do helicopters, so it's a nice change of pace from jet aircraft.
Branching out a bit there then?
Absolutely, yeah.
Very nice. Did you have any other builds here? Or?
Yes, I do, actually. Another build I'm very proud of, just for the shaping, is I call it the F-3B Yamakaze. It's supposed to be like a YF-23 Black Widow inspired stealth fighter. It has kind of unique tile system for heat dissipation. It has working landing gear, of course, when it's not being hung up from this frame. Weapon bays that would open, and a nice canard and double cockpit. Yeah, aircraft is definitely my favorite genre to build in.
Something I noticed here is you guys got some cool work going on here with hanging your planes and helicopters.
To kind of suspend them, right?
Yes, absolutely. For that, we have to thank the wonderful Brian Mellick. Evan Mellick is our theme coordinator this year, and his father is a wonderful man who brought his drum racks, actually, and that's what it's being hung from. So it's definitely a repurposing of the original use for them, but it's working out really well. They're nice and solid, and compared to previous years where we've just had our stuff kind of splayed out on the white table, I think between the rack and the airfield,
it's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, it was always meant to just highlight the builds and not really take away from it, and I think it does an effective job of catching everyone's attention.
It's really nice to look at there. So thanks for showing us those. So we've got some more builders here. If you want to, here's Evan right here actually. So if you want to tell us a little bit about your builds.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, Matt went over it a little bit. The last couple years we were here, we just sort of plopped stuff out on the white table. So over the last year on Flickr and over email, we decided, hey, let's build an airfield, because all of us build jets. So between the three of us, me, Matt, and Corvin, German guy, we threw together the airfield, and we've got about 6 people's different planes on here. But for stuff that I've built in particular, the main thing's the V-22 Osprey that I built. So it's probably the largest aircraft I've ever built, largest mock I've ever built. And just like the real aircraft, it rotates, the engines rotate, and it stows fully like it goes on the aircraft carrier. So it'll stow completely. These things bend just like the real aircraft. These bend, stow. So I've been interested in aircraft all my life. I'm in the Air Force, so that's kind of it. And there it goes.
There's a couple pieces.
So it's just sort of a natural progression. I get to mix work and play, which is kind of nice. So, and it goes on the ground. But yeah, so it's nice that we communicate all year. I mean, BrickFair's time we get to all come over and talk to each other. So.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I think that's a great thing about a lot of these conventions around the country, that it really lets a lot of these builders come from just knowing each other online and meeting up in person.
Yeah, and it's been, I mean, I've known Ralph now for 8 years. I've known Alex probably close to that as well, Matt as well. So we get to see each other come be inspired by each other's builds, and then see each other how we develop building. I mean, I first started doing this when I was 11, and I like to think now I'm at least slightly better after 10 years of doing this.
Creative energy sort of feeds off of itself, right? You know, you're able to kind of gel ideas and...
Absolutely, and we really appreciate you guys coming over and doing something like this.
Yeah, no problem.
First time we've ever done a big display like this.
Okay,
so.
Yeah, and it looks really nice. So let's see, did you have some builds here as well? So we've got another build here that contributed to this. If you want to talk about your builds a little bit here.
Yeah, so I'm Brian Carter, and I built the Dassault Mosu. The name translates into monsoon, and it's actually based very heavily on Matt Hacker's KF-19. So I don't really want to mess with it since it's on the wire right now, but it has fully retractable landing gear, and the cockpit opens up.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah, that's a great little build. Did you have anything else here, or was that your...
I have some more stuff down there, but that's it.
Yeah, well, that's a great contribution to the display here. Thank you. And I think we've got another builder here. So if you want to give us your name real quick and talk about what you built.
Well, I'm Alexander Stein. I'm Norwegian. I usually, like the rest of the guys you've just interviewed, I build usually military models. Ranges from models of actual military hardware to fictional stuff I design myself, and sometimes models in between. I mean, fictional upgrades of existing vehicles and hardware. What I've built, or what I've brought to BrickFair today, is I brought I brought a British and French Jaguar, which is the one sitting inside the hangar. That's it's a ground attack and close support aircraft from the 70s. Initially designed as a trainer, but it was then put in service as a combat aircraft. This is a fictionally upgraded GR4. The real aircraft only made it to GR3 before it got retired. Secondly, there's this aircraft here being pulled out of the other hangar, which is it's called a Saab AJ47 Tempest.
Not the car, but the same company.
It's the same company.
Yeah.
They started out making combat aircraft and also made cars.
You see that commercial where it's like Saab, we make fighter jets, and they're trying to yeah. So it's real. Yes.
Well,
awesome.
You'd trust them to make cars as well, right?
Exactly.
So real quick, when you're working on builds like this, where do you do for like inspiration as far as when you're putting it together, the design process and stuff?
Well, the Jaguar was easy because that's an existing plane, so you just look at pictures and reference pictures of the existing planes. The Tempest was a bit different because that's a fictional model. It doesn't really exist. It's my own design. And it's designed after a lot of these contemporary so-called Eurocanards, which are the Saab Gripen, the Dassault Rafale, And also, probably the most famous one is the Eurofighter Typhoon. So it's this Canard Delta Wing fighters that a lot of countries in Europe are using at the moment. And but the inspiration for the Tempest actually goes a bit further back to a lot of concept art during the 80s, which led up to the Typhoon. Which is called, it was the British fighter program called the ACA, which was the Agile Combat Aircraft, which had this, I mean, it looked like a Typhoon, but it was slightly different. It had a V-tail, it had and a slightly different fuselage, which the Tempest actually draws a lot of inspiration from. So you just have to look around and then find some fighter jets or find some references that you like. Then try as well as you can to build after that, and then try to make it look like something that's believable.
Now, when you're building a real aircraft, what do you find to be the most important, like, asset or reference material? Is it just photos, or are blueprints better?
Blueprints, if you can find them, they're excellent for getting the measurements right. And I mean, you can judge measurements by proportions as well, or dimensions.
Yeah.
But having the actual dimensions on a blueprint,
built it from. Yeah.
Right. That's definitely an asset if you're building a model.
Totally.
What do you find is the most difficult part when putting these together? Even if you have, photos and things to go off of, what do you find is usually the hardest part?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is having retractable landing gear, which all of my models have. But you expect that to be different, so it's not necessarily the most complicated thing on the entire model, because you know that's going to be hard, and you expect it to be hard, and it is hard. But I mean, they may seem unimportant. They may not be an important part of the whole model, but they prove, surprisingly difficult to get right. A good example of that is the chin turret on my AH-1 Cobras, which, I mean, it's a small part of the model, but it's important because it's part of the face of the aircraft.
Without it, yeah.
It wouldn't look right without it, and just getting it. The fact that it is so integrated into the whole fuselage of the thing.
Certainly.
I mean, it's and you want it to be pulsable, and you want it to turn, and you want the gun to elevate. Just getting all that stuff right. It was actually a very unexpected challenge.
Yeah, well, that's some fascinating look into your design process and things there. I really appreciate you talking with us. Thank you.
No problem.